Hey everybody, Matt here back again with another video for you. So today what I decided to do, I was trying to think of other collection videos I can do, and I thought, well, I have a lot, I have some in this category, some of this band, some of this dude, and I thought to myself, well, why don't I just combine them? Because I don't necessarily have a lot of one or the other's records. So today we're going to be taking a look at both my Judas Priest collection and my Ozzy Osbourne collection. And I have, I think, three in one collection, four in the other, so it kind of works out pretty good. So, starting off here, we've got Judas Priest, Hell Bent for Leather. Judas Priest was one of those bands, when I started collecting records, I was like, it'd be nice to have them, but it's probably not going to be original pressing. It's probably going to be all reissues. But I've been lucky enough in collecting to find some really good shape originals. So this is an original Hellbent for Leather. Look at Rob Halford in that picture. He still has hair. But I love Judas Priest. They have such a good, hard, driving sound. I mean, it's just, it's so good. Really just a great band just to have on and to have in a collection. A little bit like AC/DC and Iron Maiden combined. They have the grandiose of Iron Maiden, but kind of this is our formula, this is what we're going to do style of AC/DC. One record I'm always on the lookout for with these guys, I can't recall the name of the album, but the song is Angel. I think it's on it's on a later record, I think. But I'm always on the lookout for that. But this was actually the first Judas Priest album I ever got. And as you can see, it was for $1.99 because, I mean, look at this thing. It's not exactly in mint condition. And it was just one of those things when I saw it, I was like, I don't care what condition it's in, I have to get it because I may never see another Judas Priest record again. And, standard fare at Indiana. He's always got to be the star of the video. He's going to sit down right here. Watch him. Here's what he's going to do. What are you doing? I'm trying to talk about Judas Priest, baby. Such a nerd. Anyway, so Indy. So anyway, I never thought I would have a Judas Priest record, and I saw this in a store, and I was just like, oh man, I have to get it, regardless of condition. And it's pretty crackly, but from my experience, it's not too bad. And Judas Priest, the thing about their records getting them used is that a lot of kids had them, so they weren't kept in the best condition. I think I've already talked about Point of Entry. In fact, I really feel like I have. I think I did it on a collection video of like an update video or something like that. But this record has like two different covers, and they changed a lot with it, if I remember correctly. It kind of has this weird abstract back to it and stuff. This one, it's just okay. There are some good tracks on here, but probably of the three, this one is my favorite. And I think a lot of people would say that. Look at Rob. Look at him with that hair. It for somebody that has grown up always knowing Rob Halford to be bald, it's so weird to see him without hair. But this one starts up with Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight, Rapid Fire, Metal Gods. This is just like to me, it's the perfect Judas Priest record. Probably going to catch some flack for that, but, I'll stand by that. I'll stand by that. Rob with his little bowl cut there. Heading on over to the second piece of this collection video, which is the Ozzy Osbourne collection. I already had a video detailing my Black Sabbath collection, which hasn't really changed much. I think I've added maybe one or two records to it. And obviously, the Ozzy records are part of that, but I wanted to talk about the solo pieces in general. So this one is really interesting. This one is a reissue of Blizzard of Oz. And, this is one. This was the first solo Ozzy thing I ever heard. I had heard him in Black Sabbath as a kid, and when I heard Crazy Train, I could not believe it. I thought it was the coolest song ever. And throughout the years, I've grown to love every song on here, especially like I Don't Know. It's so crazy, that song. It's like people look to him to be this idol, to be this guy who has all the answers, and he doesn't. He says, I don't know. So the story behind this one is I went to if you live in one of these areas, Half Price Books does a big clearance sale like every summer. And the first year they did it was the first year I started collecting vinyl. And this was wrapped up, still in the plastic, perfect condition, right up front. I was one of the first people in there, so I was like, mine. And I really like what they did with it here. They did this really cool white sleeve with it, with the logo printed on it. And if you've read any of Ozzy's books or you've seen his behind the music or anything like that, you know what, a war it was to get this album made. And even then, once it came out, it was such an absolutely, challenging thing, because he had this image, and it was like, well, do you listen to the music or do you listen to the lyrics? Like, it was scary when it came out. And, even that cover, he's got a crucifix in his hand, he's got a horn, something coming out of there, there's skulls, and probably the most evil thing, there's a cat over there in the corner, so that's how you know he's evil. But yeah, this is probably one of my favorite Ozzy records. Not the favorite, but the favorite is in here somewhere. Ozzy Osbourne, Diary of a Madman, the second record he did with the amazing Randy Rhoads. Gosh, what a guitarist, and what a tragedy that was when he died. But Diary of a Madman, worthy sequel to Blizzard of Oz. I almost think of these as like Volume 1 and Volume 2 as far as that goes. But yeah, it's pretty bananas, this particular record. It's just like, woof. And they got the upside down crucifixes, just really pushing that image of what was okay in the 80s. What could you put on a record and not have, a parental advisory thing on it? This was well before that. And, so they were really pushing the boundaries of what they could and couldn't do. What I love about these is they were put out by Jet Records. And when they did this reissue, even though it says Epic and Legacy on here, on the actual vinyl itself, they redid the old school Jet logo. And I think that is super cool that they did that. Bark at the Moon, I've already talked about this one in length. This was the one he did with different guitarists, and there has been so much controversy about this record and other early Ozzy Osbourne records, because, and you can look it up, it's on all their Wikipedia articles. They talk about how they went back and remixed the records, but replaced, I think it was the bass player and the drummer on the CD reissues. It was a big thing, and they're still, trying to get it, figured out. This was one, I was probably, like a lot of kids, I was introduced to the title track through the Guitar Hero video game. I remember it was the last song that was featured on that game, and I was just like, I could not believe the solo on it. And it was one of those things I really thought nobody could surpass the and nobody really has the technical skill and power of Randy Rhoads, but their guitarist on here, who was Jakey Lee, does an incredible solo on Bark of the Moon. It still holds up, and that music video is fantastic. It's amazing. And what's cool about this one, get it open here. You can get a close-up of Oz in his werewolf makeup here. I love it, love it, love it when it still comes with the original stuff. Yeah, it's so cool. Rock and roll was cool and dangerous and just was different, back in the 80s. It was something magical. I also like this when they have things like also available on cassette, because that was the hot new thing. I forget who did the makeup for him on this, but pretty incredible stuff. The Ultimate Sin, I actually saw a video on Classic Rock or Loudwire or something, where they were showing some parents that were very upset about this cover. And they were like, I would not permit my best friend to buy that record. What would you feel like if your kid brought home that record? And maybe really when you look at it, it's like, oh boy, there is a lot going on here. But I remember seeing this record as a kid, in the store, and the cover scared the hell out of me. You had this witch woman and this demon and the atomic bomb going off. I was just like, I'm going to stay away from this record. So I guess the art was effective in that way. It did scare me away, at least as a kid. This is another one, much like how Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz are kind of like Volume 1, Volume 2. I feel the same way with Ultimate Sin and Bark at the Moon. They're very much cut from the same cloth. And then we have my favorite record in the entire Ozzy Osbourne discography, which is the tribute album they put out after Randy Rhoads sadly passed away in that tragic plane crash. What a twist of fate. It's like he had the whole world in front of him. And so it's just eerie, this wonderful letter on the back from Ozzy, and the album is dedicated to Dolores Rhoads, Randy Rhoads' mother. I had a friend in high school who copied this CD for me, and he was like, "You have to listen to this record." And I did, and it blew me away. I could not believe how good it was. And this, to me, are the definitive versions of these tracks. They are just so incredibly good, and you just feel that power and that energy that comes off them. And I've talked about this record in my Live Records Collections video, but this one really is kind of my favorite crown jewel of my collection. So, yeah. So anyway, that is my Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne collection. If you like what you saw here, give me a like, and help support this channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. If there's something you'd like to see me talk about, like anything dealing with these records or this thing or that thing, please leave your comment below. I'm always open to suggestions, and that helps support the channel. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys next time.